So, this is a very exciting occasion. I'm excited. I bet you're more excited. You have a new album coming out finally. It's been 2 years, 2 months, 3 hours.
Oh, wow. You've counted it down.
It's actually the 23rd today, so yeah, exactly.
I'm so ready. I've had, a lot of time to work on it, the time that I needed, which was great, because as many of the fans will probably point out, we said it was going to be this date and then this date and this date. And, part of that was like, it wasn't ready, and I think the most important thing is that it's a great album, that it's cohesive, that it's not just 1 or 2 singles. It's like a real experience.
Now, the old adage for most artists is you have a lifetime to do your first album and 6 months to do your second. But coming off a show like Idol, it's actually the opposite.
I think it's the other way around for me. The first album was kind of like a crapshoot. It was like a guessing game. I think this is the artist that I am, and I think this is who my fans are, and I think this is what I'm supposed to do. And luckily, there's a lot of great songs on there. And it was good. But it was fast. It was, a month and a half, and I was on tour at the same time, so my voice was taxed. And, you don't get to sit with the material and really, kind of test it out on people. With this album, I was able to, play it for friends along the way, in various states of consciousness. Like on Halloween, I rented a party bus with friends, and we were having a great time, and I played some of the dance music to see how they would react to it. And
were they all dancing on the bus?
Oh, yeah. It was like an explosion.
It's like a
funk
double
explosion.
It's like a double Dutch bus.
Yeah, it was hot. It was great. So yeah, I think that the album has been tested. It's been tried and true, and I've created probably over about 40, 50 songs over the last year, and that's what it took to narrow it down to get 12.
Would you say you found your own voice in a way, and you sort of alluded to the fact that the first album was a little, not all over the place, but it jumped genres
It did jump around a lot, I think it was a guessing game, and I think this album is a lot more cohesive, and I think that it's coming from a more soulful, emotional place than the last one. The last one was kind of this showy, theatrical, over the top. It was me kind of escaping into this rock star fantasy that I had always had, the rock star persona that I had always wanted to take on, almost like a big game of dress up. And there's a lot of merit in that as an album. But I think this one came from more of the inside out. It came from me saying well, what do I want to talk about in my music? What do I want to express from a personal place? Not what do I think people want to hear?
Hence the title, Trespassing.
Yeah, and it definitely does lift the veil, and it goes way into what makes me tick. It goes into the light side and the dark side, which I think everybody battles with. And the light side is really funky, fun dance music with a little edge. And then the dark side is moodier, kind of atmospheric, sad. There's some sadness on there, too.
Is there any trepidation, obviously there's so much invasion into your life already, whether it's the paparazzi, bloggers, people on Twitter. People are always kind of digging at you, and, you've come under fire sometimes. To put it out there with your lyrics about your relationships or about what's going on inside of you, is there any part of you that's maybe I don't want to go there, maybe I don't want to shed that veil?
I think I'm ready. I think, 2 years ago I wasn't quite ready. I think, it takes a second to get used to being in this type of position. Yeah. And coming off of Idol, you're kind of up in the clouds, and you're not really, reality isn't really part of your world. And I think, having done Idol, doing the first single, which, that first performance that was like a big, hoopla. First single that actually worked, and then, touring for 6 months around the world. I think I know who I am now as an artist. And also as a person, I think, coming into Idol at 27 years old, I had, done a lot of identity searching throughout my 20s and kind of gotten to a pretty good idea of who I was and what I was about. And then being thrown onto Idol and into the public eye kind of shakes that all up for a minute. And it took me a minute to kind of finally put it all back together. And then having this year to create the music and actually living a life during that time is a huge part of what inspired the music. Is that I was going out, to nightclubs again, or I was staying at home and being domestic and in love. That's a big new part of my life.
Is your relationship influencing all of these love songs?
Definitely, yeah. And then also before my relationship, during that previous 2 years, there was a lot of me trying to find love and it not working out.
It must be hard to find love in the position you're in that obviously lots of people want to date you, but they might have weird motives, or you don't know what's going. Like when you're a celebrity, you attract some.
Yeah, there was a little bit of that, and then before that, there was also, you know, before Idol, and then after Idol, there's a lot of me. When I found out about myself, there's a lot of me trying to be a fixer. Like I was that kind of guy. I would meet someone that had so much potential that needed help.
Gee, I can't relate to that. I think we all can relate to that.
Yeah, so I think that was kind of my curse for a long time. And I write about that a little bit too. I have a little bit of that going on.
Now, you mentioned you were 27 when you went on Idol. Mm-hmm. You have a big birthday coming up.
Yeah, I'm about to be 30.
Very soon. How do you feel about turning 30? Are you stoked about it?
There's a little part of me that's like, whoa, 30, that sounds so crazy. But I also feel change coming and happening. I feel much more solid in, like I said, who I am right now. It's 2012. I feel like it's going to be a more enlightened, kind of evolved place to be.
So did maturing that way affect, or just hitting a milestone like that affect how you approached making music, like what your priorities are in life, things like that?
Yeah, all of it. I think, you know, like you said, like finding my voice has kind of happened, you know. I actually look back on Idol, and the funny thing is that if you look at all the different songs, I sing so many different songs and styles. And I think that the like crazy over-the-top classic rock part of me, which was covered on Idol, was more injected into that last album.
Definitely.
This one, there's other things kind of coming, like funk and disco and maybe more the soul side is kind of coming in a little bit more. Mad World is a song that was kind of new wave. There's a little bit of that on the album.
Which makes me happy.
Yeah. There's definitely a throwback feel to it. There's a lot of 90s influence, so I'm also going back to my childhood and the music that I loved when I grew up. The first time I heard pop dance kind of music, I'm going back to my love for that. I think I'm also fully embracing my the gay community in this album, maybe even more so than the last one. I think I'm really, you know, talking about where I come from more so than I did in the last album.
Was that something you were hesitant to do before?
I wasn't hesitant. It just wasn't where my head was at. It was like I would have just come off of Idol, and I was like kind of wrapped up in like going throwback rock star for all these fans and kind of giving them what I thought they wanted, and sometimes it worked, you know. But on this one, it's like I wanted to do just like what I wanted to do.
And obviously, back then, I mean, you couldn't really talk about your sexuality on the show, and then you kiss someone on TV and everybody goes ape.
Yeah, I was like kind of me. I think that whole thing was kind of me like proving a point. Like I think I had something to say that was bigger than just the music. And I think now with this album, like I'm going back to like, let's make some great songs. You know, I don't have as much of like an agenda or a point to prove. I think it's been done. Yeah. And now it's like, it's happened. It's part of who I am. And now we're like, hopefully I think I've just made a great album. I've worked really hard on it, and I hope people like it.
I like what I've heard so far. I haven't heard everything.
What did you hear?
I have heard, we'll talk about the songs.
Okay,
I got
good.
notes.
We can
I
talk
got
about
notes.
songs. I love that.
All right. Cuckoo. I'm so cuckoo for it.
Oh, good.
That is like if I had you on steroids. It's like if I had you electric boogaloo.
Yeah, way funkier, way cooler. Yeah.
Please tell me about this song. I think it's going to be a dance floor hit.
I hope so, yeah. I think I wrote this with Bonnie McKee, and it's basically just kind of owning how crazy I feel like I am. Like, I know I'm a little bit insane. And when I was on tour last year, you know, with that workload and the lack of sleep and the travel and night after night shows, you get a little loopy. That's anybody that's toured as a musician knows that. And I was kind of writing about that feeling of just like, I think I feel a crack in my brain. I think I'm losing it a little bit. But kind of owning that and relishing in the liberation that provides. Because when you're a little bit crazy, you don't care as much anymore about all the little things. So there's something kind of cool about being a little bit crazy.
So was that sort of the continuation of If I Had You? I feel like If I Had You, which is probably like your biggest dancey song of the last album, I feel like you're going more in that direction.
I was more, you know, and that's the thing is like, there's a couple of songs on the last album that I could probably like pull into this collection, but I don't think If I Had You is really the one. I think it's, I was listening to a lot of like Daft Punk and Justice, a lot of the like French electro where they're incorporating rock and roll but doing it in an electric way. I wanted to kind of bring that energy into it. And then, you know, finding that like funk groove. If I Had You is not funky. It's very like on the beat. It's a great song.
I see what you're saying.
I love the song, but it's very like Euro pop. This song has like a funk swing to it. It's more like, it has more of that like 70s, 90s like groove. So that's what we were looking for on that one. And then the chorus, all of a sudden, because it's like we're in a madhouse and because it's crazy, the chorus erupts into this almost like this 80s hair metal kind of thing. So it kind of jumps around to to prove the point that it's like, I'm nuts.
You're cuckoo.
Yeah, cuckoo.
Will there be remixes of this song? Say yes.
I sure hope so. Yeah, I think
can
people will kill it with some remixes.
I agree.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of funky, another song I've heard that I love is Trespassing.
Yeah.
Now, the obvious reference people are making is Queen.
Yeah.
Another One Bites the Dust, a little bit of We Will Rock You with the chanting.
Yeah.
The fact that you recently reunited with Queen, which was awesome, by the way.
That's cool.
It was amazing.
I couldn't believe they asked me. I was like, really?
How quick, before we talk about, how quickly did that come together? Like, was it,
Well,
it was very under wraps still last night.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was, they wanted to kind of make it more of a surprise, so I said, sure. Me, I want to tell everything all the time. So I was like, I can't tweet about it. All right. My manager called me and said, is that something you'd like to do? And I said, are you kidding me? Of course.
Yeah.
So, and I actually think that this year there's going to be some more Queen stuff, so stay tuned. Yeah.
I actually wouldn't mind it if you were doing Trespassing with Queen backing you up. Like
I don't
playing.
think they're going to want to play any music but their own.
Aww.
So I
This is
wouldn't
a dream of mine.
Yeah, and mine too, but I think that I need to respect them, and I would just be honored to sing their music with them.
So can you give me any details about what you're going to be? All right, watch this space.
Again, I'm not allowed to tell.
Well, let's go back to your own music then. Trespassing rules.
Yeah.
Love it. I do like the chantiness of it. I hear the Queen stuff, but it's also almost like the Go Team, or even like a little bit of like Mickey by Tony Basil.
There's like a nostalgic feel to it, and I think that it's because I think it's like an anthem. I think that it's meant to be a song that like inspires people to just take a risk and be who they are. I mean, that theme comes up a lot with me, but that is kind of the type of person I think I represent. And the song is basically saying, you're saying I'm an outsider and to keep out, and I say,
Awesome.
I'm going to do what I want to do, and I'm going to do it the way I want to do it.
And it was a co-write with Pharrell.
With Pharrell, yeah.
How did that come about?
It was, and I literally, when they said, oh, you're going to go in the studio in Miami with Pharrell, and I said, I'm not cool enough.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think I'm cool enough to work with Pharrell. I think he's too cool for me. I was really intimidated. I was nervous, and I walked into the studio, and he's so cool. Like, but not like too cool. He's like down to earth. He's smart. He's a great musician. He's cool about the things you're supposed to be cool about. And so we started talking, and we connected kind of on a more philosophical kind of place, and that's where the song came from, is me talking about where I stand in the music industry and what my experience has been over the past couple of years. We talked a little bit about Burning Man as kind of a jump-off point.
Has he been?
No, but he knows what it is.
Maybe you guys can go together.
Maybe. But I think the song not only says that, but it also kind of goes back to a mindset that I had before I went into everything. And that was one of the goals on the album, was to kind of go back to what I was going through and where I was at emotionally and mentally and musically before all of this. Because I feel like that was the place I was in that inspired me to do this in the first place. So I kind of wanted to rewind and get back to like a more like inspired, creative place without all the pressures of the business and the fans, and what made me love to make music on a personal inside level.
I do hear a lot of joy in that song.
Yeah, it's like, and it felt good to sing, and it was fun, and it was, I can't wait to perform it live.
I know, I was about to say.
It's just, it's like, oh, it feels
you need to get like a gang of like Justice children on stage, like singing.
Yeah, and I think choreography too. I really want to move to that. I can't wait to do a video.
Awesome.
I feel like it's a very like stompy walking.
Videos, I mean, it's going to be a single?
Maybe. It could be.
It should be.
It could be.
And you did another song with Pharrell, Kickin' In. I haven't heard that one yet. Tell me a little.
Is also really awesome. I think people are going to be like, that's Adam? It's me, but it's like a totally different sound. Very inspired by, and we didn't even realize it until after it was done, how Michael Jackson it felt. Or Prince, Michael or Prince. It has that like kind of throwback, like 80s funk thing. And also it has a lot of like 90s house music influence in it. It's a really fun song. And that's a song about, it's me narrating and giving commentary of like a hot mess girl at a bar.
This is going to get played in a lot of bars. Maybe strip joints.
Maybe,
too.
but it's also, the way I played it for some of my gay friends. They're like, the way they talked about it, they were like, oh yeah, that's about our friend, like girl, like boys call each other girl all the time, the gay club. So, it's about that girl.
Everyone's going to know one of those.
She's
girls.
crazy. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.